Welcome to All Things Medical, presented by Very Best Mobile Lab Services. From on-the-go lab testing to hands-on phlebotomy training, we bring you real insights from the world of modern healthcare. Let's get started.
Welcome to All Things Medical, the show that bridges the gap between the medical field and local Arizona businesses. I'm your host, Kelly Ellsbury, Education Coordinator of Very Best Phlebotomy Training and Executive Lab Director of Very Best Mobile Lab Services, CEO of Dualman Education and Community Services International, and welcome to our show today. Today we have a very special guest. We're welcoming Erica Smith, Chief Executive Officer of Boys to Men Tucson. Welcome and thank you so much for coming to the show, Erica. I've been trying to get you on for a while, so it's a real pleasure to have you visit us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Kelly.
Wonderful. Can you start off by telling the audience a little bit about yourself? Are you originally from Tucson, and what's your little bit about your business background and how you decided to go in the route that you're going now with Boys to Men?
Absolutely. So I am a native of Flagstaff, Arizona. I went to school up at NAU and then moved to Tucson upon graduation and started my career with the Pima County Health Department. So I am a public health practitioner by training and expertise, and worked there for 30 years and then retired. And so I was retired all of 8 months before I got bored and started looking for other employment. And so I joined a coalition, the Juneteenth Festival Coalition. And there I met a few people, and somebody told me about this opportunity at Boys to Men. And I researched it, looked into it, and felt that it would be something that I could bring public health lens into the nonprofit field and help the organization grow and sustain here in Tucson.
Wonderful. So this is news to me, actually. So there are other chapters of Boys to Men in like other cities and states, and you just decided to make that a vision for Tucson as well. Is that correct?
Well, kind of. So this organization was started in 2009 by a group of men called the Desert Men's Council. And they seen a need in their community for mentoring young boys that were coming from single woman-led households. And the organization grew, and they adopted Boys to Men's mentoring model. So there's not specifically chapters. There is an organization that offers a mentoring model that other organizations can adopt. So
I
Boys
see.
Tucson is a standalone entity, and we are our own 501c3 organization.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, how did you get started with even recruitment? Because I agree. Especially watching how a lot of things are nowadays, I do agree that, having those male role models and even rites of passage, right? Like, I feel like I was talking to someone very recently about how you don't really see a lot of rites of passage with young people anymore. Back in indigenous, colonies, for example, you had something that separated this is childhood and this is now you in adulthood. And did you kind of see that as part of your vision? And did you, when you were bringing in your people, did they kind of add a little bit to that to like kind of structure out how you guys wanted everything to look?
Yeah, so as the organization grew and under the direction of the previous executive director, they started looking into healthy masculinity. And so we know that our society socializes boys to be a certain way. And you'll hear like terminology, oh, you're a mama's boy, or man up, or don't be the P word, which in most cases is harmful.
For sure.
And it's okay to be a mama's boy until you reach a certain age, right? And once you reach a certain age, you're supposed to act a certain way. So when we're looking at the healthy masculinity framework, that's not necessarily true. And so Boys to Men Tucson really is looking at abolishing and eradicating those stereotypical masculinity norms that can be harmful. We believe that every masculine identified youth should have the opportunity and the safety to determine what masculinity looks like for them. Masculinity is
Ah,
individualized. It should not be determined by society as a whole.
agreed. And it's interesting that you bring that up because we sit here and as a society, we perpetuate, these beliefs and everything. And that's kind of part of how they end up growing up. But then we call it toxic, right? And we demonize the same young men that we raised to be this way for being that way. It's like they can't win. So no, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. And I love the fact that you guys are doing this. What would you say your outcomes or impact so far that you've seen as a result of your work? Like, some examples of what you're starting to see, like, especially in the beginning. Like, did you like see that there was a real need and a desire even from like young men who were coming to you guys? Like, thank you guys for doing this and thank you for being there.
Oh, absolutely. So I've been with the organization a little over 2 years. And so this has been going on in the schools since 2018. And they go out into schools. We have what we call mentor facilitators, and we conduct restorative group mentoring. And so we have a facilitator that leads a talking circle. And when you mention Indigenous practice, talking circles are Indigenous to a lot of cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And the talking circle is a safe space where the mentor is able to model healthy masculinity norms while also modeling coping mechanism and skill building so that youth have the ability to practice them. So what we do know, and there's studies on that, is that unhealthy masculinity norms can lead to an increase in violence, a decrease,
Mm-hmm.
a decrease in mental health, an increase in substance misuse. Um, and with those things, they can lead to school disengagement and incarceration. And so when I seen these things, being a public health practitioner, I'm putting the work to science. And so what I seen is that the program really follows what we call in public health the socio-ecological model. And the model was built really to reduce violence in communities. And it starts with the individual. So we service the youth who are the individuals. We are their community and then our partners. And by offering this program, we're able to change systems and policies and practices with the hope that we can get rid of punitive disciplinary practices and
Mm-hmm.
holistic approaches. And so to answer your question with that little bit of history is yes, we've seen very positive outcomes. So we do 3 assessments on each youth that participates in the over the years. So the majority of the youth that we see are repeaters. So they go, they might start the program in 6th grade, they're in 7th grade, they continue 8th grade, all the way through high school. And we're able to see that they're able to voice their emotions
Mm-hmm.
effectively. And we ask very simple questions like, what emotions can you express? And at the beginning, they'll say happy, sad, or mad, and maybe angry. By the end, they're saying all sorts of different things, which shows that they're understanding and able to recognize when they're feeling those emotions. And that's important because when people can't recognize emotion and deal with those emotions, then they tend to have not positive outcomes, which, they could have a violent outburst, which leads to a disciplinary,
Yeah.
and it's just a chain reaction. We've also seen where gender equity, that by participating in the program, boys now say, yes, I think boys and girls should be treated the same.
Mm-hmm. It really does help everyone. Like you
Absolutely.
said, those toxic beliefs about what masculinity is, that black and white, that box that is put in really doesn't help anybody. It harms all of society, like seriously. And you're right. They either implode with what is this? What do they call it? Deaths of despair, for example, the corn addictions, the video game addictions, even, all of these different things where they just want to escape somewhere else and not be who they are and what they are. Like you said, not recognizing when something is triggering to them in any way and what a healthy emotional response would be because they can't even identify it. That's huge. That's got to be really rewarding to see on a regular basis.
It is. I'm the CEO. I'm feminine, so I don't get to actually witness the medicine, as we call it, frequently, because the space is held for masculine identified folks. But I do get to see the youth council that comes into the office 2 times a week, and so you've seen them as well, Kelly.
I have.
Been down the hallways, and those young men started with us back in July, and they're still with us. And those are our leadership guys that actually help us determine what is the best way to deliver this program to people your age.
That makes a lot of sense, because things are a lot different for our generations versus someone who's of a younger generation. I agree. As we were discussing before we actually started recording, and as we know, so for the audience out there, we're actually neighbors. Our businesses are right next door to one another at the historical Dunbar Pavilion. So we'll actually have Frida Marshall coming on to talk a little bit about more about the Dunbar in the near future. So yeah, we do see each other quite a bit. And I do see the young men who come in to hold those circles. They're very nice. They're very polite. You know, you can also tell that they care about what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's really refreshing. You hear all of these bad things. You see all of these bad things. People everywhere of both genders are basically out here crashing out. But I find that young men are having some unique struggles. I see it myself with my students, and also with my interns, my work experience internship partnership that I have with Goodwill. A lot of those young people are coming from some very, traumatizing or just difficult backgrounds. So, and I see how that affects them. So the fact that you guys are doing this, I can't stress that enough, is amazing. I think it's overdue. I think more programs should be focusing a little bit, because I think what has happened is that we've gotten so far into let's make sure our girls and our women are thriving, that we seem to forget that when everyone is thriving, everyone is thriving. You can't ignore an entire half of the population of the earth and think that everyone is going to fare well. That doesn't happen. Right.
Absolutely.
So now, obviously, you guys partnership with schools and community organizations, right? What are some of those schools and organizations, and what do those partnerships look like?
So for the partnerships within the schools, we're in most school districts throughout Tucson. We focus on Title 10 schools. And the partnership is that they are allowing us to come in for 1 hour a week to conduct the program. And
okay.
So the majority of our work is school-based. We go in, we do group restorative mentoring. It is not one-on-one mentoring. It's group-based, and it's restorative versus one-on-one and compliant. And that's what makes us unique. So it's a circle of their peers, and we're creating connection. We're in addition to all the other things that I had mentioned. As for our community partners, one of the community partners that we work very closely with is the Goodwill Industries of Southern Arizona. And so we've trained their staff to hold these circles in engagement centers. And so youth that are participating in Goodwill's re-engagement centers will be able to join this program that's hosted by Goodwill. So our model is scalable and replicable, and we can go out and train the trainers. So it doesn't necessarily mean Boys to Men has to hold the space. We can train organizations on how to hold the space, and they will adopt and adapt it in the best way that fits the unique needs of each organization. So that's really exciting. And with that, we're able to see a lot more individuals. So our last annual year, we've seen 700 unique students across Tucson, and each of those youth were able to get up to 40 hours of mentoring in addition to outside activities.
Wow. Okay. So quick question for anyone who may not know, what is a Title 10 school?
Title 10 would be more high levels of poverty rate.
Gotcha. Okay. So specifically, those individuals who may not have a 2-parent household, because statistically, usually that is the case in a lower income area. So you're really going to where the need is like the biggest, like the more pronounced.
And I'll make a correction. They're Title I schools.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So no, but this is great to know. I think that's amazing. Because like you said, you're going out to train the mentors who will be mentoring these young men. And it's also nice to see that there's some overlap there with some of the work that our organizations are doing with Goodwill of Southern Arizona.
Yes.
So that's awesome. I think that's amazing.
So you need to get your lab work done, but with work, school, and all the things your family needs, who has the time? At Berry Best Mobile Lab Services, we make it easy. One call to us and we'll schedule a time to come to you. Our mobile lab services are the perfect way to get your services done quickly and conveniently. A highly sought after independent clinical laboratory, we provide services to people living in Tucson and the surrounding areas. And we accept Medicare, Medicaid, Access Self-Pay, and select insurances as well. Have you been wanting to join the fast-paced field of phlebotomy? Our sister company, Berry Best Phlebotomy Training LLC, is the perfect choice. Our specialized training course focuses on practical application, all while encompassing an engaging learning environment. So whether you're needing lab services or you're wanting to enter the field, let Berry Best Mobile Lab Services help. Call today at 954-822-4722 or visit us online at berrybestlabtechtraining.com.
So yeah, we actually, when you mentioned we're going out to more of the need-based areas, we do a lot of research around violence rates, poverty rates, graduation rates, and that's how we really determine where we need to be. The schools also do that. So we know if the school is Title I, that they're going to fit into the demographics that we're looking to serve. 75% of the youth that we serve identify as BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, or people of color.
Sure.
98% identify as male, and 2% would identify as other, because we ask those questions. The majority of the students are in 8th grade, which is a key developmental stage. And so that's because we know that we're a preventative program. We're not there to intervene after harm occurs. We want to provide information and education and resources before harm occurs. And so that's why
I think that's unique to your organization too. So many other organizations or just like policies and everything, they don't do anything. It's like a reaction more than a preventative measure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we're preventative, and we're really filling a gap. And we're filling that gap because there are very few programs, like you said, that are focused specifically for boys. But yet we see the highest rates of incarceration are boys. And when you're looking at suicidal, not ideation, but completion, they're boys, are men. And when you're looking at school disengagement and school disciplinary actions, they are boys. Substance use, boys. And so boys are here to fill that gap and offer unique services for boys.
I love that. So I see how you guys measure success. How do you measure accountability and prevent, like in your prevention focused work? Like,
So
how does that fit in with that?
when we're looking at accountability, it's really one key thing. You need to show up. So none of this works if you don't show up. And that's where the mentor facilitators, they model that. And so we're very intentional on who goes into what school. And the requirement is that you have to show up. Consistency is key. And so we don't send a different person every time. It's the same person throughout the school. And with hopes that it's the same person that stays in that school. So as the youth progress through grade levels, they'll have the same role model, mentor facilitator. And we ask the youth, you do not have to be here. So it is not something, they can be referred to the program, but if the youth they don't want to come, they do not have to come. And that's part of being accountable, right? But if you choose to participate, we need you to be present and be there. You need to show up.
Yeah, go big or go home.
That's right.
Show up for yourself, for sure. Because they're not just showing up for the program, they're ultimately showing up for themselves, right?
And the other people that are in the circle. Because our goal is, these young men are masculine identified folks. they're going to learn these skills. They're going to learn things that others that aren't participating in the program may not have access to, and they can share that. They can
That's
share
true.
that, and then it spreads, right?
And then friendships are being formed as well in these circles. I mean, I've watched documentaries and even gotten feedback. You know, my children, my daughters, I have girls, but my daughters are Gen Z. The majority of my students and interns are Gen Z. You know, I have Gen Alpha granddaughters, you know what I mean? And they're saying that this is literally the loneliest generation. And I mean, what are the stats right now with men? It's a certain percentage that can't name one close friend. And I think it's even worse because what's happening with the young people is not that they're necessarily solitary, is that they can be in a room full of others and still feel not like a connection with a
Absolutely.
single person who's there. And I just thought that was very sad. That's very deep. It's yeah, to feel like you're in a room full of people, but you're all by yourself.
You know,
Yeah.
it's really funny you mentioned the word connection, because our tagline is connection is prevention, one circle at a time. Because we do offer that opportunity for connection. And we've noticed and seen, one of the other things we look at is, do they have friends, or do they have a group? So like, we ask questions like, kids want to talk to me, kids want to hang out with me, have you been invited to do things? They're very simple, but we see that at the beginning, a lot of them are, the answer's no or sometimes. And then by the end of the school year, because we run on a school year basis, we see that it's often. It's not always, but we do see a progression. And our youth council, we know that none of these boys go to the same school, but we hear them talking about hanging out on the weekends, or so-and-so came to my birthday party, where, you know, that's connection.
I
And
love that so much.
it just makes your heart feel so warm. I mean, I have a boy who does not have friends, and I understand the importance of this work. He has friends now as a grown adult, but
Sure.
you hit a certain milestone, you know, you do feel that isolation and loneliness, especially if you're not fitting into those traditional norms of what people think boys should be doing.
Absolutely makes sense. And then, of course, when they leave school, these are connections since they made them outside of school sometimes, or it continues, you know, outside of school. It translates outside of school as well. These are some friends that they may have for years to come, because apparently it's a little easier for young people when they're in school, but take that school environment where they're kind of made to socialize with other people away, and they start to kind of drown, right? When it comes to it, you know.
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely.
challenges would you say your organization is facing? I wouldn't see any reason. It's always that one though, right? It's like, I see zero reason to interfere or to stand in the way of any of this, because nothing can come out of this but wonderful things. But every organization and every genre of anything has its own challenges. What would you say are the challenges that your organization face, and how have you guys navigated these?
So one of them is, of course, funding. We're a nonprofit, 501c3 organization. We are very small. We have 6 full-time employees, and that's brand new because 2 months ago we had 3.
I
Um,
know.
yeah. And so capacity, right? Funding would help us increase capacity to be able to serve more youth. So one of the challenges has been, we recognize the need. Schools have recognized the need, parents, other organizations. We just didn't have capacity to respond to the need. And so in addressing that is, we've really looked at a different staffing model that we could really stretch our dollars further and be able, so that we're able to serve more youth and provide the schools with more support. And also, we've written some grants. We've done a lot of research. We've collected good data that have allowed us to receive the grants that were written, because the program is based off of evidence-informed data. We know that what we're doing works. There is just science, there's data, there's all sorts of things that support it. So that's one of the challenges. And another challenge that I feel is the biggest one is that we want to increase accessibility outside of schools because
Mm,
schools may not be a safe space for everybody.
very
And so
true.
we like to have more community-based programming throughout Tucson. And we do have a Tuesday night circle here at the Dunbar Pavilion that runs from 6 to 7 for 14 to 17-year-olds. And we'd like to be able to get the word out so that we could get more participants. So
I think
that's
that's the, you
challenging.
know, what's interesting. We may have to talk later too, because ever since we had the Black History Month event over at the Dunbar, you know what's been on my mind, and I've mentioned it to Trehan and them, but I'm thinking, have you ever heard of an Alkebulan village concept?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'm from Detroit, and back home, my kids were in it. Like so many different children took part in it. There is a place that's called Alkebulan, and it's just this big, basically village based. Is based on West African like village principles and things like that. And there were just all these neat things. It was an after school thing, and there were all these neat things for kids to be able to. I think they took them as young as 5, all the way up to like 17 years old. There were certain language classes like Swahili and stuff like that. They have martial arts like West African martial arts classes. They even had a skating rink that was like in the back of the building. It was like this big, giant, older building. And they had a skating rink where literally they had all of these, pairs of skates. And on like Friday nights, like all the kids could come, and they had a DJ that came in, and like the kids could just get some skates and just skate around. It was wonderful, and I just started having, once I saw the turnout for that, I'm like, it may not be like many of us here, but I think it's more than enough for our youth to be able to benefit from something like that, especially because it's expanded. It's not only for Black people or Black
Right.
youth. So I think I think that would be a great idea. So I kind of told Trehan about it. He's put me in touch with a couple of other people. I told him I had you in mind, Frida, Sam, not Sam Ross would actually be awesome too, but also Sam,
Brown.
you know who I'm talking about, Brown. Yes. So all of these different people getting together, I think something like this being expanded and being able to be a part of like an Alkebulan space would be amazing.
It would
So
be.
I think we should talk a little bit more in the future about that, because, I have the 501c3 too, and maybe together we can get the joint funding to try to kind of see, and I'm sure probably a couple of other, partners that we have in mind probably has a similar structure, or can even invest and maybe helping us like see that to reality. Of course, it probably would take some time, find a decent space. There's even like buildings on the other side of, so on Main Avenue, when you're coming out of right there where, what is that street where Warfield Kitchen is?
Yes.
And then you make that right there to turn left on Main. There's like a whole row of like, shut down, nothing's going on with them buildings. And I was just asking myself the other day, I was taking an intern out, Veto, as a matter of fact, out on a field day. And I said to myself, I wonder who owns these buildings and what they're trying to do with them. Because if it was right there, I think that would be like even better. Dunbar's right here, and then that Alkebulan is right there. So I know I'm brainstorming right now, but I got so excited when you started saying what you were saying, so I couldn't help myself.
True. and it actually could be even piloted out of one of the city's community centers until you could release their space and see if the city would be a partner, and then you could use one of their centers.
See, an idea I would have never had. We definitely got to talk and we got to brainstorm. I think if we got enough heads together, I think that would be wonderful. Like if you guys just saw the impact that place has in Detroit, it's like such a big thing. My children are now 24 and 26, and they will forever remember Alkebulan. So I just think that's good. I may even contact them and see like what they did and everything like that, just to kind of make that work. They may even have some resources to reach out all the way from there to kind of help out here. So I think that'd be great. I look forward to that.
Yes, that would be phenomenal.
I'm on it. I'm thinking now. I'm brainstorming. I'm all excited. So, we talk about what the challenges are, what we're trying to do, the things that are coming in our heads to do to make life better for the youth. How can the community help? Like, what can community funders, partners, how can the community at large get involved to help this project?
Yeah, so anybody that's interested in being a volunteer, or if they would want to be a funder, they can visit us at our website, which is www.boystonintucson.com. Just Google boystonintucson.com, it'll come up, and there's links there that if, click here to be a volunteer, click here to see what we're doing in the community, click here if you want to be a funder, and then just word of mouth and really helping us promote that Tuesday night circle so that we can get more youth involved in the program that may not have access to it in their schools.
Wonderful. Erica, it has been amazing having you on. I'm so excited that we were finally able to do this. I'd even like to follow up again in a couple of months if we can. And I know you just got that new grant, so you guys have expanded a little bit. So maybe you'll have some new outcomes and some new things to share in a couple of months. I would love to have you back on again. And again, I appreciate you so much for taking the time. For all of you out there listening, thank you so much for joining us for All Things Medical. Again, I'm Kelly Ellsbury. If you are interested in taking our fast track class, we were voted Best Education Center for 2025 back in June. We do have the 3-week and 6-week classes to get you guys nationally certified as CPTs. You can reach us at verybestlabtechtraining.com. You can reach me directly at area code 954-822-4722. And you can email me directly at kells@bbmlsllc.com. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.
Presented by Very Best Mobile Lab Services. From on-the-go lab testing to hands-on phlebotomy training, we bring you real insights from the world of modern healthcare.